Cool. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. This is an event organized by AST. Wait a second. So I'm organizing this AST Art Science Tech Innovation.
I forgot my earphones. Is this okay?
What?
Okay.
Bear. Okay. Okay, so this is a community of art, science, tech. We are trying to promoting the multidisciplinary thinking to accelerate our innovative and creative thinking, and creative ideas. And this is a third event. And this community is supported by Eco Instrument. It's a scientific company. They partially support this event so we can run this community. It's a methodological company based in Asia, Europe, and the USA. So, of course, this is just the information. But today, wait a sec, there's some people trying to join. So today, we have amazing guest, as you already know, Kuang Yi Ku. Is that correct pronunciation?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Kuang Yi Ku. He's a former dentist, and now he is a bioartist and speculative designer. And he's a co-founder of TW BioArt in Taiwan, and he has developed so many other different interesting projects which connect different areas and genres. So today we have him, and he will share with us how he has practiced multidisciplinary thinking through his career and his life. So we can definitely get inspired by him, and maybe we can, if you have some questions, we can ask him directly later after his presentation. So thank you so much. Please, please begin, and if there is something you would like to add, definitely, it's okay to share whatever you like to do.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for having me. Today I would like to share some of my project, and firstly I would like to share my screen. Does it work?
Yes, I can
okay,
see
cool.
it.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Kuang Yi Ku. Before being an artist and designer, I had worked as a dentist for a couple of years. And as well, you can see I have multiple backgrounds from design to dentistry. And so most of my artistic practice are more or less kind of related to medical technology. And especially I'm interested in the ethical controversy behind the medicine. But why I came to being an artist from dentistry. So the story goes back to many years ago. I was still a dentist, and because I was also interested in scientific research, so I went to a science school to do scientific research of dental material. But during the process of my science training, I found it's a bit frustrated, and the scientific research method for me is a bit limited, and especially the cultural issue or the ethical issue which derive from the scientific research are very difficult to be researched by scientific research method. So of course, there is a STS research community which focus on research the cultural issue from technology by a sociological method. But I'm more interested in how to create a story or how to develop a new thing. So that's why I started to think how to combine art, design, and medicine or science all together to create something new. So after my frustration in science school, I went to a design school, and I learned art and design at that school. So my first art creation is that I use a kind of dental material which was for denture making, and I used that material to create a series of sculpture. And after that, I was a bit frustrated again. It's quite interesting because I do see a limitation or restriction in visual art or in creative sector as well. So I was thinking how to combine what I've learned from art school and how to bring the creativity back to science and medicine. So I went back to my science school and proposed to my professor that I want to do something about dentistry, but with creative idea. So I was frustrated a bit again and a bit struggling as well because it's quite difficult to combine art and science together. So I think maybe I should start with my own profession, dentistry. So I was remembering that when I was in the first year in dental school, the professor was teaching us that there are three main functions of oral cavity. As a dentist, our job is to help patient to recover from the disease and bring the normal functionality back to the patient's body. So the three main functions is, the first one is aesthetic, the second one is pronunciation, and the last one is chewing, eating food. So that's a dentist's job. But how to bring creativity into the context of dentistry? So it's so difficult. So I spent many months to think about it. And one day, when I was seeing a pornography TV show from Japan, and it's a quite hilarious TV show. So the left man, the chubby guy, is a gay man, and the naked guy is actually a porn star, and the porn star is a straight man. So the gay man is planning to give a blowjob to the porn star, and he claimed he can provide orgasm to the porn star, but the straight guy think since the gay man is not his desirable target, so he should not have the orgasm in the end. But the gay man succeeds in the end. So I realized that there is a kind of functionality of sexual pleasure which has never been mentioned in my dental textbook. So and also humans have the desire to persuade the sexual pleasure during oral sex. So I think maybe it's a good starting point to know how to bring creativity to dentistry, how to use dental technology to enhance the functionality of sex in oral sex behavior. So I did my first art science collaboration project, and I would like to show you a video which is introducing this project. Fellatio Modification Project and the cunnilingus and nidlingus Modification Project are my applications of dentistry and tissue engineering. In this project, a series of oral transformation is conducted. Via the bodily transformations, this project aims at the enhancement of sensory pleasure during oral sex behavior. The Fellatio Modification Project focuses on gay community and is divided into two sections: male masturbation compound and the Barbie clone. Male masturbation compound. The idea of this section is inspired by the sex toy for male masturbation. The main concern of the design is to enhance the intensity of the orgasm generated by the contact between the penis and the inner surface of the masturbation cup. This contains three stages. Stage 1. Modify the orthodontic retainer to a wearable sex toy. During oral sex, the back and forth contacts with the raised surface would enhance the physical pleasure. I even collaborated with Science Gallery London to hold a workshop to teach people how to make this wearable device by themselves. Stage 2. I replaced the plastic material with real human tissue. This part is cooperated with Dr. Yuan Min Lin's Tissue Engineering Laboratory in Department of Dentistry, National Yangming University in Taiwan. Stage 3. I no longer use orthodontic retainer as a tool. Instead, I will surgically implant real soft tissue to oral cavity and create a permanent modification. Burby clone. In this case, for some people, they can find it difficult to swallow the larger size of penis, for this action can result in the gagging reflex when the penis touches the pharynx and larynx. Therefore, the transformation goal is to increase the volume of the oral cavity by lengthening via the surgery. As a result, the vomiting reaction will not occur during the oral sex again. I cooperated with a gay writer and manga illustrator. The imagination of Burby clone can grow into a co-context platform, so that the concept of my project can have more interaction with the gay subculture group. Cunnilingus and Nilingus Modification Project. This part extends this theme to a wider range of sexual orientation and gender identity. In this part, I focus on the function of tongue in cunnilingus and anilingus. There are two purposes of this project. One is to extend the length of tongue, and the other is to change the texture of tongue. There are also two parts of the project. The first part is a wearable device design, and the second is designing new surgery for tongue elongation and tongue texture transformation. So I think usually medicine was for curing disease, and in this case, it's more like use medical technology to enhance the body's functionality. So for me, it is what creativity can bring to science and medicine. And I also discover my research interests about sexuality since I'm from gay community. So it's also quite important for me to dig into this context. And after this project, I continued my interest of sexuality, but this time it goes to animal. And one day I was in my friend's house and they have a cat. The cat is in heat, and they were considering to bring their cat to vet because the vet suggests them to do the surgery to cut off their sex organ, and because the vet suggests that it's good for their health. And some of them also claim that after the surgery, the personality of the pet will become softer and easygoing and good to live with human. So after listen to what they said, I think it's quite weird to know that thing that human kind of have the power to decide whether to cut off the sex organ of another species in the name of love. So I think it's quite interesting to see this topic. So I did another project about pet sexuality. So I also have a video to introduce this project. This project is co-collaborated by 4 people with their varied background. They deal with the proposition of pet sexuality from various perspectives. Amidst all the species on the planet, the act of sex plays an important role for all human and animal alike. For humans in modern society, sex is more than just an act to reproduce but also stands for pleasure. And for many people, it has to do with the intimate connection of affection. What about other animals? Is it easy to say that their sex is merely for reproduction? If pets really have the need of sexual desire, how should we deal with it? Do we really have the right to remove the organ in the name of love? In contrast to human case, If there is an adequate contraception method available for pets, is it possible for pets to enjoy the right of sex? Is there any chance for us to sympathize with animals regarding their sexual desire? In this project, the contraception technology for pets will have been well developed in order to extend the concept of humans using an app to look for sex or date for their pets, like some future version of Tinder or Grindr to allow an owner to look for a sexual partner for their pets. For the same scenario, considering there might be the need of a pet, after finding a sexual partner to live closer to its partner, we reverse the patron-client relationship, which reflects that a pet's living environment have always depended on humans alone. Furthermore, it forces us to rethink the spatial planning according to pet sexual behavior and preference, to reimagine common living spaces and public spaces of the future, and to design prototype to accommodate this imagination ranging from pet apartment, hotel, cruising park, and so on. In order to explore possibility of social networking between people, we will plan the imagined future city space in 30 years and reshape the shared space based on the imagination of pets' sexual right. We even collaborated with FACT to hold a speed dating for dogs. We invited the audience with their dogs to join the future scenarios. In the event, people need to imagine they were in the future, so it is like participatory performance and engage the public to experience the fictional world like we constructed. So this project is my artist residency project in Liverpool. So after that, I actually relocated to Netherlands. So I'm living in the Netherlands now. So after relocate to the Netherlands, and one day I saw a news which is about a sexual abuse in dolphinarium. And dolphinarium is one of the huge aquarium and ocean park in the Netherlands. And what the news is about, because there is a person who is from animal protection group, and the person pretends he or she was a volunteer, and he or she made a video of a dolphin trainer is masturbating the dolphin, and after that they post a video in the website, and it's going viral, and the person of animal protection group claimed it's kind of a sexual abusement to dolphin. After that, actually, the dolphinarium claimed that it's just part of the breeding program. So they want to extract the sperm from the dolphin and do the breeding program. And also they say it's for the relief for the dolphin because there's too little female dolphin and too much male dolphin. So it's also a way to relieve the dolphins. So it's very interesting to see this debate because since we are not dolphins, so we don't know how dolphins react and how they feel. So it's inspired me a lot, and I also want to continue my research interest of animal sexual desire and animal sexuality. So I made another project. It's called the Dolphin Eroticarium. It's a huge ocean park that provides sexual service to dolphin, and it's also kind of a win-win system for both dolphin and human. So there's also a video to introduce it. Scientific research indicates that dolphins conduct the sexual activity simply for sexual pleasure apart from the purpose of reproduction, which makes them one of the few creatures that have the sexual activity similar to human ones. This project aims to create an imaginary scenario focused on the dolphin's sexual pleasure. dolphin eroticarium will be like a large mobile vessel with an architectural space open to the sea, and it will sail around the water where dolphins are around for them to pass through freely. The space comes in 4 parts. In the sex toy playground area, there are all sorts of water tunnel and spaces for dolphins to swim through, as well as wall where sex toy designed in the shapes of dolphin genitals are installed for the dolphin to rub their genital against to reach sexual pleasure. Besides, scientists discovered that dolphins would poke a pufferfish with their mouth to make it release its toxin. With this chemical substance, dolphins can so obtain the feeling of bizarre bliss, which resemble the concept of humans using recreational drugs. Therefore, recreational pufferfish drug area is that scientists extracting this substance for dolphins to safely use this dolphin-specific recreational drug in this area. In human-dolphin interaction area, under the guidance of trainer and scientists, visitors can help dolphins massage their genital to make them gain pleasure. Due to the observed dolphin-specific sexual transmitted disease by scientists, this park particularly incorporates a dolphin health center for STDs to provide dolphins with STD-related medical services. In human-dolphin interaction area, trainer will show the visitor how to examine dolphin genitals to look for disease symptoms. In this fictional future, people will arrange a series of innovative dolphin watch eco-tours, including boat trip to the dolphin eroticarium to watch dolphins engage in sexual activities, interaction program to help dolphins get pleasure. The core of all this activity is an attempt to boost dolphin pleasure, which is differentiated from the past ocean park model that make dolphin performed for human entertainment. So after that, I think this kind of controversy between human and non-human animal is quite a thing that I'm also interested in. So the next project that I was doing is about also about the controversy between human and animal. So you can see the picture is a screenshot from a documentary called Racing Extinction. It's about many wildlife are actually endangered at this moment. So the director would like to show the audience that how serious it is. For example, you can see the animal part was sold in a Chinese medical shop. But for me, it's quite interesting to see that image in the documentary because in my hometown, Taiwan, I'm from Taiwan. So this kind of Chinese medical shop is quite common. So it's not that weird to see animal parts in a shop, in a medical shop. However, in the documentary, you can see the atmosphere is quite like, oh, you look at it, Asian people eat weird thing and it causes endangered animal. So more like that. So I feel a bit weird. And I also can discover that many international media was blaming Chinese speaking community was eating this kind of wildlife. And of course, we want to save endangered animal, and because it's quite important for environmental diversity, the ecological reason. But however, from my culture perspective, I also think that Chinese medicine maybe also have a cultural value in a way. So how to find a balance between these two? Is there any way to solve the problem? Can I propose a way to eat animal part without harming wildlife? So it is my research question in this project. So I made a I pick a specific animal, tiger, as a research target. And this project is called Tiger Penis Project.
In East Asia, drowning animal parts in rice wine is a kind of traditional eating culture, and traditional Chinese medicine is one of the examples. TCM has been inherited for thousands of years, and it represents the abstract beauty and poetic quality of Eastern culture. Dezeen is one of the concepts. People believing that eating the shape of animal organ can benefit their body. However, its effectiveness cannot always be proven according to contemporary scientific analysis. They are usually regarded as mere cultural myths, such as the use of tiger penis to increase virility in TCM. At the same time, the huge demand of wild animals in TCM poses a threat to the endangered species. Nevertheless, TCM may offer other benefits beyond mainstream Western medicine. So is there a way to resolve the conflict between health, culture, and environmental conservation through a new interpretation of traditional Chinese medicine? Therefore, Tiger Penis Project aims to find a win-win system to reconcile this conflict. In the speculative scenario of Tiger Penis Project, future Chinese medicine uses emerging biotechnology like synthetic biology, 3D bioprinting, and tissue culture to hybridize animals which symbolize sexuality in different cultures like oyster and octopus in Japanese pornography. The hybrid animal part, which is culturally stronger than tiger, can replace the illegal poaching. And the future patient need to mix hybrid penis along with rice wine and herbs and drink it every day as a kind of intimate ritual. In this project, I collaborated with TCM physician and designed not only tiger penis but also several different kinds of hybrid animal parts for different syndrome. These patients need to be made diagnosis and prescribed by doctors. According to the patient's body condition, they will receive a personalized hybrid animal part with specific combination of herbs. I even collaborated with Boston Laboratory to derive this project to a participatory performance for public engagement. In the event, the participants were the patients in the future, and they experienced this scenario by the whole process of going to a future TCM clinic. So this project used design as a research method to hybridize TCM and Western biotechnology for speculating medical food futures with more possibilities, and provide a real non-Western perspective of critical speculative design.
So I think it's a combination between design, science, and tradition. So use design as a tool to design a new tradition, to design a culture, which is continues the original core value of the old culture, but also propose a new way of practicing this kind of old tradition. So if the methodology that I use in Tiger Penis Project was working, and I think it's possible to apply to other similar conflict all over the world. For example, there are lots of different traditional culture were eating endangered species. So maybe biotechnology can be a way to solve this kind of conflict. And after this project, recently I'm doing another project. It's called Grandma Mom. So this project was inspired by a social phenomenon, which is the fertility rate is quite low globally. So each of the country has this kind of problem, and there are many reasons. But some of the reason might be many women who are in the age of 30-ish, and is the best age for getting pregnant, but they are also in the age of developing their own career. So so many women, they don't want to get pregnant at that moment. So I think it's quite interesting to see the problem which is happening all over the world, but how to solve it. And one day I saw a news which is an American woman. She's a 61-year-old, and she helped her son to get pregnant, to reproduce her grandson. And because her son is a gay man, so the gay couple cannot have their own kids by themselves. So the grandmother is like a surrogate mother in this case. So it's quite weird because most of us might think it's not possible in reality. So I did a bit of research. I discovered it's not only happen in gay community. Some of young women, they also have the problem of fertility. So their mother also helped them to be the surrogate mother for them. But how does it work? So I was consulting the professional medical doctor, and they were saying that the uterus actually would never be old. So the problem is the ovary, the eggs will be old and cannot be used. But the uterus, if you inject the hormone to the elderly woman, and it's possible to reactivate the uterus for getting pregnant. That's why we can see so many cases of the world that elderly woman is surrogate mother. But it's of course not many cases. It's more like a special case, but it's still happening. So in this project, I was thinking, is it possible to create an extreme dystopian scenario that all the women can focus on their career around 30-ish age, and they ask for help. They ask their mother for help, so the mother become the surrogate mother. And then after their retirement, the woman will help their daughter to reproduce the next generation. So it's like a circle. So in that scenario, there's an institution called the International Geriatric Pregnancy Center. It's a fancy medical center which provide the long-term care center, and also the hospital, the postpartum care center, and also infant care center. So each of the building provides specific service for the elderly woman and the family. And all the elderly live in the building, and when they want to get pregnant for their daughter, so they was moved to another building. So it's like a fancy holiday place, but it's actually for this kind of medical service. I was collaborating with a film director, and we did a VR film to visualize what is happening inside the building. So the family will go to the building and go to the medical center and ask for help. So there is a surveillance system, the monitoring device, which monitor the health condition of all the elderly women. So if there's any medical problems, the nurse and the doctor can immediately deal with it. But it's also a bit dystopian and scary because they are highly surveilled by the medical device. So in the VR film, there are many images to illustrate how it works in the medical center, to create a bit sci-fi atmosphere to the audience. And I also want to know how the audience reacts to this kind of controversial issue. So I did a immersive theater event. We create this event, which is a fake media conference. So there's CEO of the medical center to introduce how the medical center works and why it's so nice to people, and also invite a real medical doctor to play a future doctor to explain the technology to the audience, and the audience need to pretend they were in the future. So in the end, we invite the audience to discuss and debate with us. So it's like interdisciplinary practice because we are inspired by the reproductive technology, and I collaborated with film director and theater director. And I'm also collaborating with a researcher from science communication. So after the event, we actually collect the information. We provide a questionnaire to the audience. So in the end, we received lots of reaction and feedbacks from the audience. So the researcher can use the data to do the sociological and analysis, and also research of science communication. So I think it might be a way to create a circle of art and science collaboration. So it's not only art science collaboration, but also create a value of science communication. And within this project, I think the research question is the ethical controversy, because the grandmother is like a genetic grandmother for the kids, but also a birth mother. So it's like challenging the boundary of ethics. And I also think grandma mom is located at one spot on the spectrum of artificial and nature, because I think the artificial womb might be the most artificial one in reproductive technology, and natural birth could be the most natural one. But grandma mom is like a natural birth from a real human, but it is artificial for reactivating the elderly's womb. So I think it's quite interesting to see the spectrum between artificial and nature. So it's not binary, it's more like a diverse condition. And it's also interesting to see the cultural differences in this topic, because this project was presented both in Asia and in Europe. So I think there are huge cultural differences between these two continents. And it's also interesting to see the differences between the two places, specifically in the relationship between parent and child. So that's it. That's my sharing.
Thank you so much. It has been really, really exciting and interesting, like so different from other type of artistic and scientific project. I'm sure there are other people who have some questions, but first I'd like to ask you some question, if it's okay.
Yeah.
For example, like I was always wondering, like, a lot of things, you know, it's it includes some kind of ethical challenge, right? Have you experienced like different responses? I assume like you have experienced different responses from people depending on the country, for example. Like, do you see what's a critical difference, for example, your own country and, for example, Europe, how people react differently, or how people approach to the question you bring about differently?
Oh, I think it's a very interesting question. For example, take grandma mom as an example. I think in Europe, people are more like individualism. And in East Asia, we have kind of weird but a huge connection with our family, and this kind of parent-child relationship was very strong for most of Asian people. And when they were seeing my project, grandma, mom, mostly they immediately think it's good for them because it's like taking revenge to their mother. So something like that, because they were kind of restricted by their parents for quite a long time. So, but in Western society, people see this project, they more like concern the systemic issue, like how the commercial were how it's like a way to serve to capitalism, and because woman can be the worker and something like that, the systemic issue. But many Asian audience, they focus on the ethical issue and their relationship with their family. So it's a bit different. And I think it's quite interesting to see the cultural differences. But not only differences between countries or culture. Sometimes the individual also react differently. For example, in my blowjob project, I think each of the individuals has their own experience of sexual pleasure, and they are quite different. And for example, I designed a sex toy, the wearable sex toy, and I use certain dental material as a way to create pleasure. And one time I did a presentation in the exhibition, and the first audience touched the sex toy, and they say, he said, "Is it too hard? I think you make it too hard. It's hurting." But another audience came here and touched the material, and he said, "I think it's too soft. You should make it harder." So I immediately see the differences between each of the individuals' sexual pleasure, and they kind of expose their own preference. So that's why I collaborated with Science Gallery London to do the DIY dentistry workshop, because I want the people can use the dental technology to design by themselves, because each of the persons might have their own preference. So that's why I did the workshop instead of making it like a commercial product. So yeah, hope it kind of answer your question.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it actually let us like know about the cognitive differences, like not just about physical diversity or differences, but like each person actually feel the same experience differently. So that's something very interesting, and also maybe it bring about a lot of questions to people who have participated in your project. Yeah. Is there anyone who would like to ask some question? Feel free to share your ideas or what you think.
If I might, I actually have a question. My name is Jane. I'm an alumni of Maastricht University, and I find your conception of BioArt to be fascinating. However, I have a question regarding the pet sex hotel project. You construed this as an idea for pet owners to essentially find dates for their pets. How do you reconcile the concept of sexuality in nature as being driven by instinct, and sexuality among humans as being driven by societal preference and societal construction? And how do you essentially combine the idea of seeking dates for pets with the social idea of what a date is for humans and what that might mean for a pet? Because to me, at least, like, animals don't understand romance the same way that people do. And what I'm asking you really is, how do you see pets understanding romance? Because you mentioned, one of the slides mentioned like a hotel for pets in monogamous relationships. But do animals conceive of monogamy or polygamy in your view in the way that humans do? And how is this relevant for the project?
Yeah, I think your question is kind of a key question for this project, because I totally agreed what you said, because we were not the animals, so we totally don't understand what they want. But before that project, I got inspiration from my friend is like most of the pet owner kind of claim they understand their pets. So they kind of claim that they love their pets. So they are their family. So they can do something good for their pets. So in the name of love, they kind of decide many things for their pets. For example, they decide to bring the pets for the contraceptive surgery. They did lots of things about this. So I just try to create a hypothesis that if the pets have sexual pleasure, have sexual desire, how can we deal with it? So if I stand at the point of most of the pet owners' position, and for example, they need to find a sexual partner for their pets. So need to spend lots of time to do the dating app stuff. You know, it's so hard to find a sexual partner by dating app, even in human society. And do you want to spend most of your time, many of your time, to do it for your pets? Do you want to? And also, it's ironic and to the reality. So the ironic quality of this project is actually a key element, and also yeah. So I think that's it.
Oh, that about answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that like it makes it visible human ego toward the animals, right?
Yeah.
There's another question from Bea in the chat. How are your projects perceived differently in the art world and the scientific world?
It's also very interesting. I think I would like to take the oral sex project as an example because in the second stage, because I started with gay community because I'm gay. So, but after the collaboration with Science Gallery London and Science Gallery introduced two female dental students in King's College London to me, and they hope we can do some collaboration. And the two students think, why not do something for female community? And I was saying that since I'm gay, I'm totally not familiar with female sexual pleasure. So, but after our collaboration, we kind of developed a series of wearable sex toys for female because they are female people. But after that, the design that we did, it's more like providing pleasure, but also a way to prevent sexual transmitted disease like HPV infection. And this presentation was seen by a British Dental Journal. So some of scientists from British Dental Journal was visiting my presentation, and they also post my project in their scientific community, in a dental community in England. And they were saying they want to do the promotion of the protection during oral sex because there's a huge HPV infection, and the HPV infection causes oral cancer. So it's a big issue in dental health, public health. And so my project is like not only provide a prevention, but also provide sexual pleasure. So they think there is a potential to increase the motivation of people to use protection during oral sex. So I think that was a very interesting example because it shows that there's not only artistic value or design value, but also scientific value for the dental public health. And so, yeah, I think it could be a good example of it. But not only good feedback from scientific community to the oral sex project, I also received negative feedback from some dentists. I remember that I see they repeated my design in their lab, and they wrote a scientific paper and published it, which is indicating that my project is bad because it's promoting sex and it's not good to use prosthetic for enhancing sexual pleasure. And they insert many their own ethical and moral standard into it, which is very unprofessional because science should not be individual. It should be very objective, but they put a lot of moral judgment on my project. So it's also interesting, but I'm not be offended. I feel interesting. I feel it's interesting because my project kind of provoke the conservative scientists, and they even show their unhappiness. They show their anger by writing a scientific paper. So this reaction, I think this kind of art science collaboration also provide a platform for people to debate, to discuss. And the debate is not happening only in general public or art and design field, but also scientific community. So I think it's quite interesting to see that. Yeah, that's it.
It's an interesting point, and also what you just said kind of makes me think about who can actually decide what is good or bad, morally or ethically, right? Is there any other question? Okay, I'd like to have another question.
Yeah.
For example, in your case, maybe you always have had natural interest in different fields and subjects, right? And that could be one of the reasons you switch your career from dentistry to artist, right?
Yeah.
So what would be your, for example, advice? Because you have a lot of experiences working with people from different fields. So what would be your advice to people to, for example, think beyond their profession, like think more, yes, you can say think differently, but like a multidisciplinary thinking, how we can accelerate this way of thinking, you know, in society or people who are not familiar with this topic, do you think?
I think I'm not sure how to suggest a specific way to do it, but taking my personal experience as an example, I think more like I'm not satisfied with my own profession, and I see the limitation of the existing discipline, and I had very high motivation to find another way to break down the limitation, which is derived from my unsatisfaction. So yeah, so I think that's the point. And after learning different methodology from different disciplines, I kind of have the feeling that I am collecting different methods. And after I have many different research methods, I have more capacity to deal with other complicated problems. And recently I have the feeling that the society is fast changing and the environment is changing also very fast. And if we only use one discipline's thinking to, and we want to use it to solve a specific problem, is always not enough for me. So how to combine many different methods from different disciplines, I think it's quite crucial in this era.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that you just said, like, you know, to go beyond the limitations you like face with. you start to look for solutions in different disciplines and different fields, right? So that can be maybe a good start when you actually face with some challenge or difficulty. Maybe you can search solution in a field you have never actually been.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this could be the last question. If there is no one, I would ask the last question.
I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
So thank you so much for your, the great presentation. And I was wondering, like, where is your, passion is coming from? And because, like, most of the, those projects are related to sex, and maybe you already told us, but do you have any kind of a special program? I don't know. You where is your this great motivation for the sex? Solving some problems around this sexuality is coming from. I just wondered.
I think this question for me is quite clear because I think because of my queer identity, my gay identity, since living and born in an environment that gay was regarded as an unnatural thing, I think sexuality and sexual identity is a main issue for my own life experience. So that's why I was always focusing on it. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So yeah, maybe before we finish, if you have like some new project or what you're thinking for the future, what are you working on now?
I'm working on some project about the climate change and also a project about termite. I think it's quite interesting because I'm collaborating with a lab of termite biology, and termite was regarded as a bad insect for human, but actually it's really from a human perspective because they eat woods, they eat our house. But in nature system, it's kind of a good species because they eat woods, they eat they were in the forest, they eat the wood debris and they create protein, and they are the food of many animals. So how to reverse the discrimination of a specific animal? So I'm trying to design a new system of human termite co-living space in the future. So yeah, so that's what I'm working on.
That's also super interesting, like challenging about what is good and what is bad that we think. So cool. So where we can find your information for the latest project and?
I have my own website, and also from social media perspective, I have LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can Google my name.
Great. So people who want to know more about him, just follow his social media or visit his website. And yeah, so thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us. It has been really, really exciting and interesting. I enjoyed so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And also thanks to everybody for joining us today. I hope everybody has enjoyed. So thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.